Hi guys, I will now introduce the concept of interface alongside with encapsulation in Java programming. As is the case with each section, this section too will teach you numerous topics. We will begin with using of interfaces or using interfaces in Java, and then we'll move on to introduction to encapsulation and its benefit, followed by learning the principle of private methods and private variables. And finally, the essentials of getters and setter methods. With this overview, we will lead into the first lesson that will deal with using interface. In this video, we are going to take a quick look of multiple inheritance in Java, introduction to interface and using interface in Java. What are the core parts, how interface is going to help us out. Let me give you a quick reminder or recall for what we had learned in section inheritance, that is section 3. Why multiple inheritance was missing, or why does multiple inheritance is not supported in Java? That is the biggest question. First, to reduce the complexity and to simplify the language, multiple inheritance is not supported. And another problem is due to what we call DDoD, which is known as Deadly Diamond of Death. So I'll just give you a quick overview what is DDoD and how it prevents us from using multiple inheritance in Java. If you can see the diagrammatic or class diagram that I have created for you. So first it focuses your attention to the superclass which has a string name. So the most common factor to make it quick is that you have to understand the part of multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance relies on two derived classes which are dependent on the superclass, and then the sub-derived classes, which is the class C, is depending on two different subclasses with the same method or any variable holdings of that classes. So it makes a major confusion for the class C to which either of these classes should it prioritize or depend completely on. So that is where the major question comes in. Now the question comes, which class will class C rely on? To solve this problem, Java has a concept called interface. So let's move on to the major topic of first understanding the introduction to interface. Similar to class, an interface has methods and variables as well. Methods which are declared in interface are by default abstract and only the signature part can be utilized. It does not hold any body, so no much to do with the interface. But it does give you an advantage that as variables are static and final by default, so they are throughout available for you as it is. Interfaces specify what a class must do and not how. So you can call it a blueprint of a class. So moving on to the part how we can use interface in Java is you need to understand the declaration part, how interface can be utilized. So you need to also go through the syntactual part of it and you can have a quick gist of it once we move on to the program which will help you out to understand interface. To declare an interface, use of keyword called interface is very essential. It is used to provide total abstraction. That means all the methods in interface are declared with an empty body, as I have told you earlier, and they are also public with all fields are public, static, and final by default. The class that implements interface must implement all methods declared in the interface use as implement keywords. So an interface is implicit abstract and does not need to use abstract keyword. Each method in an interface is also implicitly abstract. So the abstract keyword is not needed for the method as well. Methods in an interface is implicitly public. So interface variable static and finals are by default. So as I've given you all these declarations, syntactical part helps us out to understand how the source code is going to get structured. So interface keyword is always an replacement of how we declare classes. So instead of class keyword that we use to declare a class, we are going to use interface. Let's move on to the IDE and I'll give you a quick example just to make it much more easier. I've already mentioned the test package, and let's start with the interface name as animal. Then we are going to give public void test and class as dog, which implements animal. Public void test again is going to help us out with the declaration of printout statement that we will be needed just to see the console is giving us an output what we require. So let's give it like interface method implemented. We are going to also declare public static void main function, which will help us out to declare the body or the main function that we want to run in. Let's create an object called Annie, or I would say A, with new reference to dog and A dot reference to class, or you would say method, that is test, which we are going to recall. Now that you can see, I have written a small test program which says interface animal instead of class. I am declaring interface like this with a public void test as method, and then another class which has implements from the interface animal. I have given a method called test, which is going to say interface method implemented, and main function will help us out to run through that method with a dot reference calling with the object. So let's try and run this program. If we are getting that output, that means we have successfully run interface. Now that you can see on the screen, I have successfully run the interface method which is getting implemented. So this is how you utilize interfaces and their declaration, which is done in the similar manner how class is implemented. Even the inherit part can be done similarly.